Hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and we are on episode 31, 32, and 33 of season 2 of Ace of the Diamond. And we're finally in the semifinals facing Seiko. So I'm pretty excited for this. It's Sato versus Seiko. It's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know what to expect. I'm really hoping that they don't put Sawamura in. I know Sawamura has had a great last couple of episodes pitching. I've been all about our Sunshine Boy. Whenever Sawamura gets praised and does good, I'm like, yes, please. Because as I've talked to y'all in the comments, it's been a hard road to get here. Like, we were like over 100 episodes in, and I'm like, our boy deserves some praise at this point. But you know what? They have built up the last couple episodes saying that Sawamura is not the right person to pitch against these guys. He's like exactly what they want. So, one, I don't want Sawamura to have a down game, obviously. It's at the semifinals. I want him to come out and pitch well in the finals, if they hopefully make it. But two, Furuya's grandpa's here, so I want Furuya to get some development and to get some time to like prove to his grandpa that he's a good pitcher. And Nori needs some development too, so I hope that Furuya and Nori get to pitch in this game and really prove their worth. And then we go into the finals with 3 really confident pitchers. That's what I'm hoping, because if my predictions are correct, I think Yakushi is going to make it into the final, and Sato is too. And it's going to be a big old rematch. So, and I want them all to be at their best. So, with that being said, I'm pretty excited, y'all. I poured myself my cup of tea. I'm ready to go. I'm pretty excited to see what happens with these episodes. So let's start, shall we? We are going to start Ace of the Diamond, episode 31, The Courage He Gave Me. Could be about the coaches. It's funny, some of you pointed out that we have Kataoka, who's a coach about to resign, voluntarily about to resign, and they want to keep, his team wants to keep him there. And then you have Kumakiri, who's the coach for Seiko, who was forcibly resigned. So you have 2 coaches who are either not present or not going to be present, and their teams want to do this for them. So it's a really cool dynamic. But we're going to start this here in 3, 2, 1... Let's go. Let's talk about this. I just want to feel confident that Sawamura is going to finish out this game, and this show really wants to make me go through the ringer, because it's like, oh hey, Sawamura's had a great couple of games, but I'm like, Sawamura, you'll be fine. I feel better about him. I was like, if those are shadows under his eyes at the end of that episode, I'm going to be really pissed off. No, I feel like Sawamura handled that fairly well. Like, he's come a long way handling it. And I like that he's trying to channel Furuya as motivation, being like, Furuya stood here under all this pressure, so can I. Right? So, God, we need to talk about this. For the record, I know I've said this before, but I really like Furuya's character. I do. I feel bad. It's such a trying thing, because I want Sawamura to become the ace, and I want him to get... And there are times when Sawamura has a really big, strong ace mentality, and Furuya's getting that same place. So it's very difficult, because it's hard, because I want Sawamura to be the ace, but I also want Furuya to be the ace. So it's like, I like both these characters and how different they are, and I want them both to be successful, and in this game, they're on the same team, there can only be one ace. So I'm like, what do we do? What do we do? But we need to talk about these episodes. Episode 33, I had a lot to talk about. Episode 32 as well. And episode 31 was just kind of like starting us all off. This whole Seiko game. Of course, I like that Todoroki comes to watch the game. I talked about this in the reaction, but I like that Todoroki comes to watch the game. Because, 1, it lets his team go practice. And 2, Todoroki is so, like, laid back in his approach that I could see him watching the game and taking the notes that he needs to, but then only telling his team what really matters. He's like, yeah, do this, do that, everything else is not important. He seems like that type of coach. It's like the anti-Nabe strategy. Like, Nabe is like a sniper and has all the details and everything, like, notebooks full of details. Todoroki just watched the game and he's like, yeah, they're, like, pitching fine. You guys got this. Like, I'm assuming that's what he's going to tell him. He's like, yeah, just, hit the high balls. like this. That's literally what I imagine him telling them if they go to finals against them. That's literally, and now the game's tied, so of course the game's tied. Like you do. But Masu, I like Masu, the catcher for Seiko, a lot. He's such a serious type A personality. He's like so responsible. He's like, I imagine he's an eldest sibling because he's just like responsible for all these guys. I love it. But Furuya, these episodes were all Furuya's, and I've wanted that. I've wanted Furuya focus. for a long time in this. And Furuya has had a really good game. That injury, that damn injury, I hate it. I hate his ankle injury. I feel like that's going to be his Achilles. He literally has an Achilles heel, is that ankle injury. And the one thing is, I appreciate him being like wanting to stay on the mound and like keep his pride intact. But I'm also like, do none of you learn anything from Chris to take these injuries seriously? This team's gone through so much trauma with injuries. I'm like, I feel like, especially when Furuya goes back to talking about being the best pitcher in Japan, I'm like, well, if you have an ankle injury, that's not going to work. So, and OCHIAI! We're going to get into OCHIAI in this set of episodes, but am I taking crazy pills? Because OCHIAI, this has like been the first set of episodes, I think, since OCHIAI first came at the end of season 1, that I felt like I was on the same page as OCHIAI. It's weird. I felt like I was in Bizarro World for half of this set. I was like, why am I okay with OCHIAI and all this? This is very interesting. I'm like, why are you so humbled, sir? Like, what's happening? So, yeah. Like Tsurune saying he's going to grow out his bangs, or I call him Sune or Ogawa, one of the two, growing out his bangs to be like Furuya. Furuya was very cool this episode, and his grandpa's watching. I only hope that at the end of this game, his grandpa comes up to him and tells him how proud he is. Because I'm like, Furuya deserves that. Like, Furuya has pitched a really game, and he made it to the 7th inning. Super close. We'll talk about putting in Sawamura over Nori. But yeah, Kojima. So Kojima, the ace of the team, had an off day. Like, Kojima's had an off day. Like, he couldn't handle the pressure, which is interesting. And I like that this team takes they don't take the approach of, oh, well, you're the ace, so we're just going to keep you in. No, he was having an off couple of innings, so they're like, get out. Let Ogawa come in. This is just not going to work. And I do appreciate that their team takes that stance, that they realize something's off and they try to correct it. That's really good. But the line they say to OCHIAI, the two like school superintendents or whatever, I can't stand them. They're so annoying in this. But they're like hee, like two little goblins. They're like the little goblins hanging off Jabba the Hutt. Can't do it. But they say the line, we always fall one win short. And OCHIAI like looks over at that. Like, they basically saying we're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. We always make it to finals, we never make it to nationals. Like, and OCHIAI, you can tell, is kind of annoyed by that phrase. He's like, like, just, we always fall one win short. And so OCHIAI is like, then we get the bombshell that Kateoka says he's not going to go. He's going to resign either way. But OCHIAI is like, if they make it to nationals, it's because of Kateoka. I'm going to leave. What? I feel like, honestly, I would be totally cool if Kateoka and OCHIAI both stayed to co-coach. Like, if they were just coach and assistant coach. I think they'd both do a great job. Because OCHIAI, I've said this since he came on, he has good ideas. He just doesn't really have that emotional connection to the players that they follow through with it exactly like he wants. And he lets his own emotions get in the way. But this set of episodes, I was like, what are we doing? Why are you suddenly humble, sir? You've been like wanting to take credit for everything, and now that it's put back in your face, you're okay with it? And you don't want the credit? What is happening? So then we have Sune, we have Ogawa pitching. Zono's facial expressions will never get old. Like, that super serious face, I love it. And then the coach for Seiko, he snuck in with his beanie and his 5 o'clock shadow and his sunglasses, not conspicuous at all, like coming in to watch the game. So Sune Ogawa, he has, I feel like in these set of episodes, he's had both parallels to Furuya and Sawamura. Like, his technique is a lot like Furuya, but his mentality is a lot like Sawamura. Like, Ogawa, bless his heart, he's a little Cinnabon. He's kind of dense, kind of aloof, kind of like Sawamura. But he pitches and has the resolve of Furuya. So it's an interesting combination seeing Ogawa, like, kind of smash these two first years together and be like, what would the combination of Sawamura and Furuya be like? Will it be Ogawa? That's pretty interesting. I like that we're getting to see that. And then his singing, it reminded me of Tendo from Haikyuu, where he's like, Baki Baki oh nani wo, like, he sings like the song during the Haikyuu games. He reminds me of Tendo, like doing the little fancy song. It's so cute and adorable. And I'm like, whatever lets you get the outs, Ogawa, you just keep singing. And it's just, that's what makes him happy. It's like, okay, it's that kind of like faith in himself. And then Nagata, having that pressure and it coming back to hit both Furuya and Sawamura. That was really, really crazy. So yeah, there's episode 31. And then we get into episode 32, and it's 5-0, like within 5 innings, within 3 innings, they brought back, so it was 5-0 at the 5th inning, and within 3 innings, they brought it back up. So that's the thing. And they kind of hint at it later, but that's just how much things can change, like in a matter of innings. Like the game can go from being 5-0 for 5 innings, and then suddenly turn back around, and in the 8th inning be 5-5. So, of course, right? But Furuya and that damn hurt ankle... Ochi trying to bat left and it going okay, but just not working out for him in the time. And then Sune getting the home run. And Furuya, it was just because I think if Furuya hadn't hurt that ankle, he would have had an amazing game. But that damn ankle, and the fact that it keeps happening, I don't get good vibes. Yeah. But then I loved the scene where Miyuki was like, you're starting to pitch like an ace. And Miyuki being nice to him, like, come on. And he takes that piece of praise, like instantly perks Furuya up. He's like, yeah, ace. Because I can't hate Furuya. I love Furuya. He's a great character. And I love that he got to have such a good game. I was hoping they'd bring in Nori so that my blood pressure would lower. And I wouldn't be freaking out about Sawamura the whole time. Because he's one of my favorites. But I do like Furuya a lot. And I think these episodes... he does have the spirit of an ace in him. I've been complaining about Furuya not having the fortitude of an ace for a long time. And this episode 32, shows that he does have that within him. He is capable of being an ace. It's just that damn ankle. Well, some of you commented a while back in the last couple sets that Furuya has a very odd frailty about him. And I thought about that. He does. It's a weird frailty. He has this physically the ankle, but also like the whole thing with the heat, with summer, with everything. Like he does have an odd frailty to him. He's not a diva. He just has like a specific kind of frailty to him. And you want him to work past that. It's just, I don't want him to play on that injury to the point where he can't play professionally, right? That's the thing. But yeah, Todoroki. I love that Todoroki's like, both of you teams go all out so that when you face us tomorrow, we'll have it easy, right? That's kind of the mentality he has, and it's kind of interesting. And then, yeah, he broke the wooden bat. Yeah, Haruichi breaking the wooden bat, having to use the metal one. I really like, I'm just going off all my notes here, I really like the whole thing of Masu and Miyuki trying to feel each other out and read them. Some of you are commenting on Patreon that in terms of like, because I'm used to Haikyuu, like different positions for a sport, and that the setter is most akin to the catcher. And I'm like, I could see that. They're kind of like the control tower. They're kind of like the control tower for the thing. It's funny because your pitchers, I feel like pitchers and catchers are both like setters in their own right. Because in setters in volleyball, they're the control tower. They're the control point of the team. But they also have all different types of techniques that they use and different types of strategies that they use. And I feel like the strategy portion of it ties more to the pitcher. But then the control tower aspect ties more to the catcher. So it's a cool combination between the two. But yeah, Ogawa, he's quick to think about a play. Yeah, Ogawa's not stupid. He's a little dense and aloof, but he's not stupid. Like when it comes to a clutch play, like he makes that one double play and it works out really well for the team. Like he's no slouch. He just kind of looks aloof. And then yeah, he's the combination of Furuya and Sawamura. The skill versus the personality, right? So then we have the idea of, okay, we go to the cutback, the flashback of Ogawa and what his coach said about him. And there was this one line that I absolutely loved, and that is, put in the effort rather than be spoiled by talent. And I love that because that's such a good line, because it's like, if you put in the hard work on top of the talent, you're going to grow and you're going to develop and become a better pitcher. But if you just ride on your skills alone and you don't practice and you don't get better, then you're just going to fade out. And it's like, you're going to be stagnant and not grow. And I'm like, that's such a good point. I love it. And then that fire that Furuya has where he's like, I'm going to stay on the mound and be the ace. It's like, respect to Furuya for like putting it out there, and like Kateoka being like, okay. It's funny. I feel like Kateoka, he sees a lot of Sawamura in himself, but I feel like in that moment when Furuya was like, I'm not leaving, that Kateoka connected to that. Because we established back in the Demon Child episode, a few episodes back, that Kateoka was like that. Once he got on the mound, he didn't want to leave. And it's like, okay, so I feel like Kateoka can see both Sawamura and Furuya in himself. right? And then I love that line that Ogawa's like, you're called a monster, Furuya, and that's what I want to be called. Like, Furuya's getting the reputation of being the monster first year, and Ogawa's like, I want that reputation. And it's like, ooh, so good. It's so good. Like, everybody's getting inspiration and motivation from Furuya in these episodes, and I love it. So yeah, he demands to stay on like an ace. Gotta respect him for it. But then OCHIAI brings up how the ankle issue could be a problem if it keeps happening. I'm like, OCHIAI, you were the one that wanted him to play on it like 10 episodes ago. You were like, oh, just keep playing, just play through. And now you're changing your tune? What? Maybe because it was like a first time thing and OCHIAI's like, oh, it's just a fluke. And now that it's happened again on the same ankle, he's like, maybe it's not a fluke. I feel like OCHIAI, I'm like, why are you just now deciding to come in and say things that are logical? What are we doing? So then, yeah, we get to episode 33, and it's 5-2, and Furuya's still pitching up into the 7th, but Seiko has the momentum. And I love that Todoroki is like, I want my son to hit Ogawa's pitch. Like, all he's thinking about is, how do I make my son get even more famous? And it's like, I love Todoroki. Todoroki and Raichi and Sanada are maybe some of my favorites in this series. Anytime they're on screen, they just steal the show for me, and I can't help but love them. So then, yeah, it's 5-3. And here's the thing. They establish throughout this episode that Seiko is a late game bloomer. They're a late bloomer. They may start out slow, but they will pick up the pace in the latter game, and that's when they're deadly. When you guys start to get wore out, they start to get a second wind. And that was another thing that Ogawa was kind of similar to Furuya, in that Furuya and Ogawa both start out kind of with, they start out like a little bit slow sometimes, but then once they pick up the pace, like Todoroki says, once they get that momentum, they're unstoppable. It's like, So yeah, Furuya plays at the bottom of the 7th, and then, yeah, Furuya still goes, but he's past his limit. Like, I give props to Furuya for playing to the very last moment. And then Kateoka puts Sawamura in, which, honestly, we're going to talk about this. I was like, really? You're going to put Sawamura in? Okay. All right. And Sawamura just being on fire watching Furuya, like, just getting that motivation, being like, I want to have that indomitable spirit like Furuya does. That's what I want. Right? And Miyuki supporting Furuya and saying his presence grows each time he comes out in the field. I'm like, awesome. I love Miyuki being a good captain, being a friend, doing that. It's 5-3, top of the 8th. And then, yeah, OCHIAI. I'm kind of with him on this. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm like, why choose Sawamura? We've established Sawamura is not the pitcher for this team. Sawamura's pitching style is exactly what they want. So I'm like, why? And then Kateoka's excuse is that Sawamura has the mental fortitude to handle the pressure. I hope so. At the end of this episode, I hope that's still the case. Kateoka looks like maybe he's eating his words. I'm hoping he's come this far. I'm like, Sawamura, you've come so far. Don't recede. But I really was hoping... I love Sawamura. Sawamura is one of my favorites in this whole series. He's my sunshine boy. I want him to succeed. I want him to become the ace. But I'm like, I really was hoping they would put Nori in, because Nori needs to have this moment to gain confidence and grow. And I feel like him putting Sawamura in just reinforces the idea that he doesn't have confidence in Nori. And I'm like, but I feel like you're going to need Nori. So, but yeah. But Nagata. So we go back to the idea of Sawamura. He acknowledges the pressure that Furuya felt from Nagata, and we get Nagata's whole backstory. I was really thrown off because, sometimes we've seen in the past with this series, when you get the inspirational backstory on an opposing character, then suddenly it's proven wrong in the moment. Like, as Nagata's going on about wanting to hit the home run, I thought Sawamura might strike him out. Nope, he hits the 2-run homer that he needed to do, hitting the scoreboard. Surprise! But I like the idea that Nagata says he's lazy and he needs a strict environment. Like, he's self-aware. He's like, I know I'm lazy. I need somebody to, like, kick me into gear. And that's what Seiko does for him. And I love this line from the coach. What kind of batter do you want to be? Because for a while, the coach acknowledges, he's like, I think you're just swinging recklessly. Like, you're not thinking about what you're doing. And And Nagata's like, no, I want to be the type of batter that hits a home run during nationals and hits the scoreboard. And he's like, okay. So it kind of ties back to Todoroki and his line of reasoning with Raichi, in that he's like, Raichi, envision your pitchers, envision the pitch, imagine pitching against them. It's like, okay. And that's kind of what this coach does with Nagata. He's like, okay, as long as you have a vision that you're working towards, I'll leave you to it. And it's like, okay. And then he hits the home run and ties the game in the top of the 8th. Anything can happen. And of course, I was waiting for the manager to say it. He's like, have Kawakami ready. Get him ready. I'm like, damn it. I'm surprised he didn't argue with Katioka when he said put Sawamura in, to be honest. But Miyuki, I was a little bit peeved at Miyuki by the end of this. A little bit frustrated with Miyuki because Sawamura seems calm and he tries to calm Kanemaru down, and Kanemaru sees that he's shaking, that Sawamura is nervous, even though he's trying to act calm. And I wanted Miyuki to have just a little bit more faith in Sawamura. Like, he's the one that made the call to get Kawakami ready. I was like, that little doubt, I didn't like that little bit of doubt, because Furuya's been so dependable this episode, and everybody's already doubting Sawamura, even though Sawamura is like trying to hold it all together. I'm like, why? Why, show? Why do you make us suffer? Why do you make us question Sawamura? I'm like, he is reliable. We've established this. He pitched 9 innings like 10 episodes ago. Why are you making us doubt him? Why? And then Sawamura using Furuya as motivation. He's like, he stood here courageously and was the ace. I need to be the same thing. And I'm like, yes, you do. You do. And I'm going to be so pissed off if Sawamura flubs and they like get, ahead by a run and they have to bring in Nori to try to tie the game up. I'm like, I just want Sawamura to be confident like Furuya. I want both of our boys to be confident. Show. I'm going to throw this pin. I'm like, why do you make me question? Why? Just... I hate it. Straight up not having a good time, bro. Nope. So there you go. So I don't know. I really just want Sawamura to be confident and to keep it up for 2 more innings and let them either like win by 1. That's all they need to do. And I don't know. God, this episode's rough. So yeah, anyway, I'm nervous, and I just want Sawamura, our sunshine boy, to not be gloomy. So, but Furuya had a great episode. Furuya had a great set of episodes. I'm happy for Furuya. I want his grandfather to be proud of him. I think he is. And I can't believe I'm agreeing with OCHII. I feel like it's Bizarro World, and now we have to wait and see what happens. So, thanks, show, for giving us as much tension as possible in the semifinals. Wouldn't have it any other way. So, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below about these episodes. They were really good, but I just want Sawamura to be okay. So, in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episodes 34, 35, and 36 of Season 2 of Ace of the Diamond. Bye.